Just the formality. I'm Aditi Gosavi, Senior Advisor with the German Academic Exchange Service, more commonly known in the region as DAAD. In German, we call it DAAD, but in India and the region, DAAD it is. So I work for the DAAD, and I will take you through this webinar today. I'm not alone, however, though I'll start with the talking on my own. There will be many more who will join us. Whereas I will give you a general overview, there will be experts from specific universities and institutions who will tell you about what their institutions have to offer. And besides me, you can see me talking there, whom you see on the screen is my colleague who's sitting in Bonn, Germany, Alice Jordan. Hello, Alice. And also together with her, there's another colleague, Anna Zimianek, who's also in Bonn. And there is, as you can imagine, besides the ones that you see, there are many more who are in the background. So from all of us, a very warm welcome to all of you. Down to business. You all must have got some emails from us, some Facebook messages from us that made you come and join the webinar. But who is this us that I'm referring to? Us is the DAAD, the DAAD. But yes, it is. What is important for you to know is that it is a non-profit organization funded completely by the German government, with its headquarters, with its head office being in Bonn, the capital of the erstwhile West Germany. It has a wide network, a very active and thriving network of foreign branches, information centers, teachers of the DAAD, and most importantly, more than 1 lakh of scholarship recipients that get funded through the DAAD every year. Maybe this is a good point for me to mention that the DAAD today happens to be the world's largest funding agency. So funding is one of the main tasks that it does. The second task it does is to provide information about higher education and research in Germany. So it is this second task for which we are all together here in this webinar. Yeah, what you see on your screens is only half true. It says Germany has produced 25 Nobel laureates in the past 25 years. That it has, undoubtedly. But then I call it half true because then if I go back in history, if I go back, let's say by 80 years, then I have to say that Germany has produced 80 Nobel laureates in the past 80 years. The numbers, however impressive they might be, the idea here is not to impress you with the numbers, not at all. But I would like to invite your attention to the subject fields mentioned here. Typically, one associates Germany with engineering, machinery, automobile, so on and so forth. But all of you here, and I say especially all of you here, who possibly come from the backgrounds of humanities, social sciences, economics, want to do your management studies and so on and so forth, especially for you, it is important to know that Germany is not engineering and the STEM subjects alone. There is much more to Germany beyond those things and the subject fields mentioned here. You find pure sciences, yes, but you also find literature, you also find economics. So irrespective of which subject field you are keen on, Germany can give you the best it has to offer. The roots of all these Nobel laureates, or why we can say that with such a great confidence, is that Germany has a very rich university tradition. What makes German universities special is the fact that teaching and research, they go hand in hand when it comes to Germany. The quality, it goes without saying, is extremely high. With over 400 universities and a number of research institutions, Germany is there for the discerning student, for the discerning researcher. These educational institutions can be understood or divided into 4. And to make it even simpler, I would like to divide them first into 2. So there are universities and technical universities. Universities or technical universities are the only institutions in Germany that can award all 3, that is bachelor's, master's, and PhD degree. Then come the universities of applied sciences. As the name suggests, they focus on the applied aspect of the knowledge, and they award accordingly the bachelor's and the master's. Beyond that, for those interested in music, art, filmmaking, and so forth, there are colleges of music, art, and film as well. Taking a look at Germany as a destination, because that is what we are here to know more about, right? What we have in Germany today are more than 2.8 million students, out of which, and here comes the interesting bit, almost 13% happen to be foreigners. So the German university campuses are really colorful. Today, Germany happens to be the third most popular country for international students. Coming closer home, and here I will only refer to India. However, I am aware that there are people from Bangladesh, Nepal, even Bhutan, and oh yes, I now see Sri Lanka also attend in this webinar, and the trends are more or less similar. The numbers vary, the geographic or the size of the country being the size it is, but the trend, the increasing number of students going to Germany is very much there. As they say, pictures say more than words. I will not dwell too much on what this lovely graph means. One big reason for the graph growing the way it grew, in addition, of course, to the quality, is something called international programs. There are over 1,700 international programs that German universities put together offer at the bachelor's, master's, as well as the PhD level. And what makes these programs special is that the medium of instruction is English. What it means is that in order to study these programs, you very often do not need to know any German or need to know very little German. Having said that, I must invite your attention to this very important fact that in Germany, everybody speaks German. And so if you want to actually become a part of the active field or the action field that Germany is, knowing the local language is always going to be extremely valuable. All these international programs, you can read up more on them on these links that are mentioned there, study-in.de, and the next one, which more or less has the same information in the background. Then coming to the more concrete questions, when one thinks of studying abroad, one always needs to put a budget together. And what you see here is everything that a student needs. So these 794 euros, they can take care of your lodging, boarding, clothing, stationery, learning materials, your transport, your communication, your mandatory health insurance, that's extremely important whenever you're out of your comfort zone, and of course, some leisure, some culture, sport, recreation. 794 is, however, not carved in rock. The number varies. It heavily depends upon which city you are in. It also depends upon what kind of lifestyle you want. To put it very simplistically, you want to have an apartment to yourself, you'll end up paying more. You are sharing your room, you'll end up paying less, and such. Germany also allows students from non-EU countries to work. There are maximum limits, of course, because the idea is that the reason for your stay in Germany is studying or researching. So you can work for 120 full days or 140 half days. Here, full days would mean 8 hours a day, and half days would mean 4 hours a day. If you manage to get a position as a teaching assistant or research assistant, you can work for longer hours. It involves some bureaucratic work, such as filling up forms and giving out declarations, but it is possible in principle, again, because of the simple understanding that you are doing what you're there to do, study and research. After you complete your degree, whether it is bachelor's, master's, or PhD, it's possible for you to work in Germany. Germany allows you to live there for 18 months looking for a job that's relevant to your qualification, that's in keeping with your qualification. So the doors are now open, And depending upon what skill set you have acquired and what kind of degree you have, you can certainly look for a job. And it's also important to know you might have plans to study in Germany but then move on to some other country or come back home. Then it's also important to know that German degrees are very well recognized the world over and not only in Germany. So studying in Germany, you're certainly very well geared up for a good future. This is the last bit that I share as DAAD information. This was these were the email IDs, or these were where all in India and neighboring countries we have our offices. It's fairly simple. We have them mostly in metros, also in Pune, and in Bangladesh we have an office in Dhaka, and in Sri Lanka we have a new office in Colombo. For Nepal and Bhutan, the office in Delhi is responsible. Feel free to get in touch with us anytime. We are there for you. With this, I would like to add another point to my presentation, and that might be more of interest to you, more relevant to you. You might say that, well, I am doing my job, but then there are someone else who has joined us who does a completely different job. We have with us today someone from the field of humanities, someone from the field of design who has studied in Germany and now has a flourishing career in India. We have with us our young ambassador Ankit Savla, who has kindly joined us in this webinar, and he will share his experience of studying in Germany with all of you. So Ankit, may I please invite you to tell us and share with us more of your experience. Your presentation is coming online. I'm sorry, we have to go back. I'm so sorry. Here you go, Ankit.
Aditi, here we are. Ankit.
Yes, we just need to transfer the presenter rights to Ankit. That might take us a minute or two.
Yes. So Ankit is online as a presenter. He should
Yes.
hear us.
Yeah. Ankit, are you able to hear us? Ankit, you need to unmute your speakers in case you have put them on the mute mode. Ankit had stepped out, it seems.
Yes, he tried to come.
He's again in, so
So he is there twice.
He's there twice. Now, one of the two Ankits, I'm sorry, dear participants, but at times technology, however wonderful it is, it might make us wait for a minute or two, but I can only assure you that the wait will be worth it. And once you have Ankit online, he will only have very interesting things to say to us. Ankit, can you hear us? Ankit, we have approved you, and now you are very much amongst the presenters.
Ankit, maybe on the top of the screen there is a symbol. It's a microphone, so that it should be switched on to green. Otherwise,
Ankit says he's trying. I have him on another line. He is trying and he can hear us. And he's also saying something which we are... Yes, now we hear you, Ankit.
Yeah, now it is on.
Right. Do you have your camera on as well?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Then you have to click on share my
Hello,
camera.
hello, Aditi. Thank you.
Perfect. It's coming.
Sorry for the
Right.
slight
Hello,
delay.
Ankit.
yes, hello.
Thanks for taking the
Pleasure.
time out.
Yeah.
Happens. So off you
Okay,
go.
great. Briefly, I'm Ankit Savla. I am an architect. My professionally studied in Mumbai, moved to Germany. Before that, I was working in India for 2.5 years. Studied, did my master's and Frankfurt at the Stadel Schule architecture class. So, if any of you are planning to go to that school, please write to me. Moved to Berlin and did another course out there. Have done some research, lots of great experiences. So I'm quickly going to take you through what have been largely my experiences in Germany. And how do I move this? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start maybe on a softer note. Learn that the world is a beautiful place, and we all are humans who grew up a little bit differently. Now that has been a big learning for me as a person more than a student, where I've got to learn a lot about the differences, if I may, but the differences actually which teach you a lot in life. So understand that we are culturally different, but we are all humans. Love and respect, humility, love, respect, and humility have no bar of race and religion. So please continue having that for everybody. Always start with a handshake when it comes to Germans, even if you are meeting them at a party. Germans are not very casual to start with. It takes time to enter into their comfort zone, so don't feel bad about it. Don't judge them as you might not want them to judge you. Their clothing, their way of living is very different. We need to respect it as you expect them to respect yours. You should definitely learn basic German like bitte, Entschuldigung, danke, and please use these words as frequently. And if someone is telling you these things, also respond to them. Always follow rules. Germans are very strict with rules, also laws and the social rules that are there. And few table etiquettes are always nice to know, but you do not need to overdo anything. So that's a little bit about personal learnings. Germany will not be just a master's program, a PhD, or research. It will be full of life lessons, and these life lessons will stay with you for a long time. So always try to adapt and not try to change them or even majorly change yourself. Don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Find people to share your problems. You will always find someone. So may it be an Indian, may it not be an Indian, don't hesitate to ask people. Try to be as independent as possible. Don't feel too shy to ask for help. If they say no, don't feel bad about it. Especially for the vegetarians, I'm a Jain. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I've lived there for 3 years. So don't feel too worried about the veg food, the food habits, etc. If you're confused, ask for vegan food. It's very easy to find that. So is it with drinking or smoking. It's always nice to have a drink, like not alcohol. You can always have a lemonade or whatever. Talk about your culture, boast about it. There's so many beautiful things about India that people want to know. Learn about those things, and when you sit on a table, discuss all those things with them. Expect a very rigorous university life. Punctuality is in German blood. May it be a train to catch, or may it be a submission, or even a date. Just be punctual. If you're not punctual, make sure that you're at least informing people. Constructive criticism is always admired more than arguments, but don't hesitate if you have questions or want to share a point of view. Take feedback as feedback and don't defend unnecessarily. Don't go to class without expected preparation requested for. So if you are reading material given to you, please read that and go. Indian universities, people are given work, but we never do it. So there's a very thin line between respect and being friendly. Make sure that you don't cross that too fast. Respect your fellow students. Don't try to bully anyone. Again, it's not India. They are very strict with bullying. They're very strict with these regulations. So make sure you're not doing that. And respect the rules of the campus and remain disciplined at all times, even if you're at a party inside the campus. Being an Indian in Germany, there's always Indian communities that you should get in touch with. How much ever you'd like to get in touch with the international community, that's always very helpful. But also knowing people within the Indian community helps you with very small things. Most of the Indian festivals are celebrated in Germany, so make sure that you be a part of a few of them at least, and also bring along your international crowds when you go there. There are tons of opportunities to be a part of their systems, their dinners, barbecue parties, etc. So don't miss out on those things. Look at it as an experience for a lifetime. So always be a part of these things and get in touch with your Indian embassy, the consulate. They also organize a lot of events. They update you with any visa changes, any changes in the regulations, in the laws out there. So all those are also very crucial and important aspects. Largely, these were my learnings from my experience. 3 years in Germany, stayed there, studied there, worked there, met a lot of people. So, Aditya, are we also taking questions, or it's just Aditi?
We are
Yeah,
taking questions, Ankit. Yeah, Ankit, we are taking questions, but the request is for participants to write down the questions in the chat window. We are not taking live questions. No audio questions.
yeah. All right, sure.
Yeah.
So, if there's something for me, please shout out, and you can scribble there, and I can answer you.
Right. Thank you very much, Ankit. Very valuable pointers indeed. When one goes to a
Right, sounds
different
like.
country to study, it's not just the new study program that one has to get accustomed to and used to. It's more importantly the life there and the ways of the new world that you enter. And thanks a lot for making everybody aware of that. Uh, since Ankit has already mentioned
Yeah,
about the questions, all of you would also
pleasure.
have read our thanks, Ankit. Also would have read our little note when you entered the webinar room
Yeah,
that we will not be able to take audio questions. However, keep on typing your questions in the chat window. We will try to answer as many as we can in the time that we have. Just in case we miss out on some of the questions or we do not have time enough to answer those, just send those questions directly to the presenter. So in this case, if you have a question for Ankit, simply shoot it to his Ankit Young Ambassador ID. If you have any questions from the DAAD, we presented a number of email IDs. And then later, when we have university presentations, if you have questions for them, you can shoot it out at them. With that, I take our very first question. And that, Ankit, is not for you, I have to say, but it's from Rohan, who's asking, is it necessary to appear for TOEFL
yeah.
or IELTS when one wants to go to Germany? Yes and no. If you're going to do an English medium program, then the likelihood is that your university, the German university, will ask you for your TOEFL or IELTS scores. In extremely few cases, German universities also accept a letter from your Indian university that very clearly states that the entire education, the medium of instruction has been English. But TOEFL and IELTS is simple enough and comes in extremely handy whenever you need it. I hope that was answer enough, Pankaj. And then there is someone who knows us rather well. Faraz is asking about our Bangalore office. Faraz, the Bangalore office is closed only temporarily. We will soon be starting with it. You can find it on our website once we relaunch the Bangalore office. Then we have a comment from Kanchi. She says suddenly she cannot hear anything. Do others, if others also have a similar problem, kindly say so in the window so that we, and generally if anyone has this kind of a problem, a simple thing to do is to log out and then log in again using the same link, same name and same everything. That was what Ankit here also did, and then we could hear him, right? Okay. Next, the next question that we have is from Damanpreet, who's asking, is education in Germany free or does one pay? Here I would like to say that education can never be free. Yeah, education always costs. It's a precious commodity. So a better word to use would be subsidized. Yes, in Germany, education is very often heavily subsidized by the state. But then again, it would depend upon which university you're going to and what kind of program you're doing. So normally, a regular bachelor's or master's is be likely to have no fees or very low fees. In case you're going for some specialized course or the non-consecutive course, as one calls it in the German context, then you would be required to pay fees. And even if you go for a course where you do not have to pay any tuition fees, you do need to pay somewhere in the range of 200 to 50 euros as administration fees. Right. So with that, we come to the end of the first part of our presentation. I also see many of you raising your hands, and just so that you know the way we are dealing with questions, today at least raising the hands will not really give you voice. I know many of you have been attending DAAD webinars and you're differently trained, but today we will not be in a position to take any voice questions. So please feel free to type your questions in the question window. With this, I would like to thank Ankit once again. Thank you, Ankit, for taking time out. It was wonderful to have you on the webinar, and we move on to the next
Thank
webinar
you so much.
for
Yeah,
which we
thank
have.
you.
You're welcome, Ankit.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Ankit. You're welcome, Ankit.